On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
Physical beauty. But did you see that hammerhead shark who was talking about being physically beauty? See,
but with the context that she added the logic, she said by European standards, a lot of guys would consider me in that.
And that goes back to my first point that I initially made. That we sit here and we don't know what we're looking at most of the time because it's based off a European standard of beauty where you got all this extravagant shit. You got this long hair. You got all this crazy stuff. It's crazy. But what I really want to say is that, look, and I'm talking to women because we got a Mississippi girl on here and we got a Nashville woman on here, Mississippi woman, Nashville woman. Men loved that back in the day. In the 90s, when they was natural, when they put that cocoa butter on their legs, you know what I'm saying? That's what men love.
Most people only think with their dick, which means that they lead with their emotions, and it prevents them from being super successful. So that's just my opinion.
So let me jump
hold on.
Talking to the men, right?
To the gentleman first, yeah.
Thank you, ladies. All right. So I gotta ask, and this ain't no jab or nothing like that. So don't even look at it like that. I was gonna ask, how long were you on like the dating market before you were married? Because I know you were saying like you've been married for like 18 years. Like how long were you out there?
Like, I've never dated.
What's that?
I've never dated. I don't believe in dating.
Well, okay, my bad. Maybe not dating. How long were you playing the field? Were you out here smashing women before you got married?
I've never played the field.
Okay, so I think that context is needed, like for your answer, because a lot of people gonna be like, oh, this man cap da 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 da. But for those that have played the field for years and were successful at this, you know what I'm saying? Looks was number one on the list when it came to you wanting to smash. We were not looking at your intellect. And also the other context is, how old are you, Anton?
40,
right? Like at one point in time, I was 18 playing the field. I was 25 playing the field, 24, whatever.
But when I was 18 and I seen a woman, like a lot of times I was looking at her like, dang, she probably getting a lot of dudes for their bread just because she looked that way. And I was thinking the other way. And I don't know, maybe because I listened to too much Too Short or I mean, you know what I'm saying? Honestly, like I was looking at dudes as suckers.
Sure.
I was looking like, yo, I wonder if I can get if I get her on my team, you know what I'm saying? How much money we can get out of that sucker over there that's looking at her as a piece of bread. Thankfully, you know what I'm saying? I you know what I'm saying? I maneuvered that into from a business perspective and I implemented it in a positive way. But in a general sense, I always looked at dudes that only looked at chicks for pussy as suckers because they was blinded by her instead of being focused on what it is that they can utilize her for and empowering her.
That sound like iceberg.
Hold on. On the gas.
That sound like iceberg slim and
the gas.
over there with some goldy stuff.
I mean, no, it's not. But in a general sense, there is no difference between pimping and real life. Like you can utilize lessons in anything and implement them in a positive way in real life, right? Like that, and again, I don't believe in that pimping and all of that other type of stuff. But what I'm saying is that the mindset and being able to be disciplined, that's something that you can draw from that, and that they not necessarily trying to spend all their time with her. They trying to figure out why you trying to spend all your time with her and then trying to gain from, you know what I'm saying, utilize you effectively to get that bag.
Okay, so let's just be very clear.
I never looked at women and was like, oh man, I was just like, yo, man, she could probably get a lot of dudes. That's why I was looking at her.
Tell me that's not very anecdotal, right? Like this is just you.
That's why I said that's just my opinion. I literally said that's just my opinion. I agreed. I said with the statement that's probably true for most people. I said, but for me, I looked at it differently.
Right. Okay. So yeah, the majority of people ain't on pimping. Majority of people, especially like when you out here 20 something years old, they out here trying to get some draws, get their rocks off, and move the fuck home. You know what I'm saying?
I lost my virginity at 11, so I grew out of that junk way before I ever hit middle school, high school. I wasn't I didn't care about that shit.
Right. Yeah. And that too is not the general consent. That's not a general statement for across the board. Right. That's something very different than what most of us are used to. The most of us, especially those that have experience playing the field, when it comes to like really like stabbing, jabbing, and getting on out of there, you know what I'm saying? We only looking at one thing, looks. You feel what I'm saying? That thing hitting right, and we going out about our business. That is it. That is it.
Barry Sanders. Hey, we back out of Barry Sanders. You gotta got there, drop that foot in, and you gotta cut real fast. You know, so you gotta get up out of there. Hey, Barry Sanders.
And I think that's how you put it into context. And I don't think it has anything to do with success. There are plenty of young men who go into college, go into the military, and get plenty recreational. I don't know if we allowed to cuss, but recreational ass, and they come out successful. They're doing great. It's nothing to do with that. It's just that we don't need to be thinking in the way that Anton is saying we need to be thinking at 18 if we ain't there yet. That's not.
Why wouldn't you advocate to think like that when you? If we had more dudes that thought like that instead of thinking what they did, you would have more success. Why wouldn't you advocate for that instead of dudes just having more recreational sex? That's dumb.
If he's 18, 19, 20, he doesn't think like
why?
you're
Listen, think about what you just said.
He doesn't need to think like
he's what you said. If we Jesus Christ. Did I hear that?
No. I get what you're saying.
I'm add context to it.
He's not wrong there.
Well, hold
He's
on.
not wrong. The idea of what Anton is saying is if more of us thought like that, more of us would be successful. We'd have less of bullshit going on in our community right now, right? So, like to that point, I agree. If we thought more like that, we would be better off. As opposed
and all I'm saying is I'm not going to force a college freshman to be focused on trying to find a helpmate if that's not where he is.
He didn't say helpmate. He didn't say marriage. He didn't say anything of that nature. He said, "How can I leverage her to provide something else?" Right.
So look, let me ask.
Or don't you think, Quest, that at 18 he should be?
Kayla, it's the man's. Hold up. Excuse me, baby. Look, I see what Anton is saying, and David, I didn't agree with this nigga this ninja 2 times on this show. Look, a majority of men in the world is exactly what Anton described, and I bet anybody to fact check me on that. A majority of the men is exactly as he described. They look at women for their potential to be wives. They look at they women for potential to increase their household. No, that is. And they still know they got their side chicks, and this is part of the things. But most of the men look at women for them aspects.
I'm gonna hold you accountable, Logic.
Wait, hold on. Let me finish before you object. Because it's this. Ain't nobody up here wifing up no thoughts. You know what? They treated thoughts like thoughts. They wifed up and they selected at a young, early age. They already knew who they was gonna deal with. And then now they thoughted up the thoughts. That's how the world always worked. But I'm gonna give a pushback though. I mean, not a pushback, but my perspective though. I just want to shoot that on Anton. Also, this, yes, physical beauty. But did you see that hammerhead shark who was talking about being physically beauty? See,
but with the context that she added the Logic, she said by European standards, a lot of guys would consider being in that.
And that goes back to my first point that I initially made. That we sit here and we don't know what we're looking at most of the time because it's based off a European standard of beauty where you got all this extravagant shit. You got this long hair. You got all this crazy stuff. It's crazy. But what I really want to say is that, look, and I'm talking to women because we got a Mississippi girl on here and we got a Nashville woman on here, Mississippi woman, Nashville woman. Men love that back in the day. In the 90s, when they was natural, when they put that cocoa butter on their legs, you know what I'm saying? That's what men love.